In the last 3 parts of my podcast about Wizard's Kingdom, I've been talking about the plot and how I got the characters together, because this was my very first novel or novella that I started out with, turned into a trilogy filled with magic and special characters, with different creatures, and it was my first dabble into the world of fantasy. I've talked about the actual wizards themselves, and I've talked about Loof the Catchit, who was the special character. In this last part and final part to my podcast, I'm going to talk about the backgrounds, because as an author, when you write in an adventure, it's got to be believable. The people, readers who read my stuff, have got to feel like they're inside the story, as if you're walking through a movie. You've got to use all your senses to smell and taste and hear and see and touch everything that's going on within the storyline. And in Wizard's Kingdom, I use a lot of forests, Tweedlemore Forest, and woods and mountains and caves and castles and secret hatches and different open fields and deserts, all kinds of different backgrounds. And I set the scene, but then I actually go back over it in the second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth draft, and I actually dig right in to get the feeling of where I am in the story. And this might sound a little ridiculous, but as the readers have come back and told me, they've actually felt as if they're inside the story itself. So when I'm walking through a woods or a forest, I try and make it feel real, that you can actually smell the grass, the soil. If there's like smoke in the air, if it's an icy morning, you can feel it and taste the cold air, the ice in the back of your throat. You can hear all the different sounds. Maybe birds in the trees, maybe a dog barking in the background, the footsteps of the actual wizards themselves, the horse as it canters along the fields, and as it gallops through a woods and brushes against the branches and leaves. All this description has got to be spot on, and it's got to pull the reader in to feel as if they're sitting there and they're reading the story, but they're actually, like I said, part of the adventure as well. So I try and get the smells, the tastes, the textures. When you touch a tree with the bark, that sharp, abrasive feel to different barks and different trees. The splinters, obviously, that comes with it. When you're walking along a path, the shuffling along the grass, or if you're down by a riverbank, you've obviously got rocks and pebbles and things which can tink and clank as you're walking over them. You can hear maybe the shuffling of a rabbit or a stoat going through the undergrowth. Even if there's a storm, when you've got the winds whipping up and you've got the skies go dark grey and black, and you've got thunderous bellowing in the background, and you've got bright white lightning strikes. If they're in water, there's some parts of the story where they're actually in the sea or in a river, and the feeling of going underwater and trying to clamber back to the surface, the bubbling water around your ears as you're trying to stop yourself from drowning, the plop of maybe little pebbles and things dropping into the water. You've got to, like I said, you've got to have the whole feel of like a film set, like a sound engineer would do. Only you've got to do it in the story and then portray it so that it feels real. Whenever I read, I want to be immersed in the story, and you've got to be so immersed that you forget where you are. I've had readers come on to me when I've done book signings, or if I've done lectures and talks, and they've said, wow, we've read Wizard's Kingdom. In fact, there was a parent who came up to me a while ago, and he said, I'm reading the Wizard's Kingdom trilogy to my children before they go to sleep. I've enjoyed it myself as an adult, because Wizard's Kingdom is for anybody who likes fantasy. And he said, I'm reading it in a kind of a lamplit bedroom, and the children, my two children, are sleeping each side in their beds, and I'm sitting in the middle of them on a little stool. And he said, Wizard's Kingdom is so vivid, you can feel the atmosphere, you can touch the different creatures, you can hear the rustle of the leaves or the wind whipping up in the background. It's absolutely amazing. This is what I've been told. This is not what I've made up myself. So as an author, you've got to create the characters, you've got to make the characters believable and magnetic. You've got to have a sinister dark side, otherwise the story is just going to be flat. You've got to have some kind of evil and scary parts to the story to make it more interesting and for it to come alive. But then you've got to have heroes, and you've got to have struggles and challenges throughout the story as well. And this is what I put into Wizard's Kingdom. I mean, I went on from Wizard's Kingdom, and I've done lots and lots of other books and novels. I've got I think it's about 15 children to teen novels I've done over the years, and I'm still writing. I'm writing actually adult crime fantasy fiction as well now. But this is what started me off, was the Wizard's Kingdom trilogy. And it's kind of my baby, and I really love the story. It's, as I read out this podcast, it's about, I don't know, about 17-year-old now, this series. And it's still selling well, and people are still enjoying it. Thank you for listening to my podcast. This is just one on Wizard's Kingdom. I will be bringing other podcasts out with other books and with other things I'd like to talk about as an author, and I hope you follow me. Thank you.